About shout out to Lucy Hernandez on Facebook in Wonder Woman Lover. She came up with this post. Let me just zoom in on that post so you can see it in more detail. Zack Snyder today posts a picture of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and he says proud. And it's so awesome to see that Zack Snyder, of course, is proud of Gal. The Wonder Woman site posted up. I thought it was pretty awesome of Zack, and Zack Snyder again, thanking on his Twitter everyone who expressed their condolences to him, Deborah Snyder, and Denise, who is Autumn's mother. Autumn's the one that actually committed suicide. And you see Zack Snyder saying, to support or seek help, please know there are places such as afsp.org and gedfoundation.org that do great work in terms of emotional health, preventing suicide from teenagers and young adults. And teenage suicide rates went up quite a while ago now. I think it was since 2012, somewhere there. A lot of people were suffering from depression. A lot of people were committing suicide. Okay, and unfortunately, Autumn, who, from all appearances, what we see, always had the best intentions with people, she seemed to have suffered from bouts of depression. So that really is a serious issue in the United States of America. I think having a purpose is one thing, but depression can come because of so many different things. So let's be a little bit more careful how we talk to people. Now, Zack Snyder did get his fair share of, this is not even criticism, this is bashing. I remember back in 2013 when Ben Affleck was announced as the new Batman. In fact, even before that, when Zack Snyder, after coming off of Man of Steel, which by the way was bashed unfairly, I think. See, there's a difference between criticism where you're saying something that's constructive, or you're saying something that may be negative, but it's still at the end is something worth noting, and just bashing. A bashing is where you call names, where you're saying things which are not even true, and you're just undeservedly saying negative things about a thing, and you're saying it with relish. You enjoy bashing something. That's why I talk about today's critics. Today's critics are not like the old school critics. The old school critics, yeah, they might have torn into a film if it was crap, but you can bet your belly button dollar they wouldn't bash it. They wouldn't undeservedly say something. They wouldn't undeservedly, and they certainly weren't very generous with hyperboles. They tried to judge the movie based on what it was telling them, and then they would say how it didn't achieve something or it did achieve something. They were very diplomatic in how they spoke, the old school critics. And yes, some movies and directors didn't like them, but they understood where they were coming from. In this day and age, especially this Trump era, it's gone to a whole other level of just bashing people, bashing and bullying people. And you find that people are not willing to listen. They're not willing to, they're all very selfish. They're all about themselves. They're all about their expectations, what they wanted to see. And if you don't, for some reason, you don't produce a movie that they see, it's no longer about following a movie or watching a style of movie and then going with the story and then seeing the story accomplished. No, you make up your mind in advance. You turn off from the story way before the story has even gotten through to tell you something. Like, I don't know what's wrong with this age of people, but they're gluttonous, they're greedy, they're selfish, they're all about themselves. If they pick a side, they stay with that side, and they don't care. They're not open-minded enough to see another person's perspective, another point of view. They pretend like they do, but they really don't. And I'm seeing this closed-mindedness and this sort of... People feel that to critique something means to say something negative about it. You're not a good critic if you don't say something negative about something. Critiquing has very little to do with whether something's positive or negative, but judging something on its merits. What has it brought to the table? Now, if there's shortcomings in it, bringing certain things to the table, you judge that. It's not about name calling. It's not about comparing with other films. It's not about that. It's never been about that with the old school critics, and that's what hurts me. Man, I can't have much respect for the critics today. I'm sorry, man. But anyway, So when Batman v Superman first came out, it was going to be Batman v Superman. They showed the symbol and everything. People went crazy. People went wild in Comic Con. It was first advertised in Comic Con. People went crazy. But here's the thing. After that, people who were haters of Zack Snyder, you remember they said that Batman v Superman was a box office failure. It was a box office flop, and then they had to turn around and say the opposite. There was a lot of hate going into Zack Snyder's Batman, Man of Steel. And the hate escalated with this movie. I remember, so Zack Snyder said Batman v Superman, the Superman symbol inside the bat. And so many people found a reason to say that the title was not good. It was a versus films. Why would two friends fight each other? And we'll go through that. You'll see it in an article in a minute. Next, Batman faces off against Superman, and the Batman they pick is Ben Affleck. This story first appeared August 27th of 2013. Okay, and the reaction to Ben Affleck being the new Batman was just something terrible. They were like, "That's a horrible choice. Zack Snyder picked the worst possible person to be Batman." Okay, and if you just look at this poll here, all right, I'm just gonna click yes to make it positive, right? When you look at this poll, the results of this poll say 76% of people, almost 77% of people, 86,433 votes voted that Ben Affleck do not be Batman. They didn't want Ben Affleck to be Batman. That was just a poll. When we look at Twitter, this was the reactions to Ben Affleck being Batman. 12% of the people polled wanted Christopher Bay back. 71% of the chatter was negative about Ben Affleck being Batman. Some people said no. You remember that when Ben Affleck was reading the tweet? It was pretty funny. And it's just funny, you know, it was Ben and Matt Damon. They were friends and whatever. And it's strange how people lashed out at Ben Affleck being Batman. They didn't have a problem with Henry Cavill being Superman. Well, guess what? Next after that was Gal Gadot being cast as Wonder Woman. And if you look at the Twitters down below here, all right, there's Gal there, all right, and they announced this. This was December, I think, the 4th, when they announced this, and December the 4th, December the 5th, this was what Twitter had to say. Wonder Woman has been cast. Internet premature meltdown commencing in 5, 4, 3, 2. So people started talking about Wonder Woman is not going to get her own movie. Should Beyonce be cast as Wonder Woman? She's one of the biggest stars on earth, and it's better publicity than racists yelling at you. Some other people said Wonder Woman directed by Zack Snyder. Here's this cookie. Please make it a razor blade. You know, he's like, terrible, right? And the reactions were just horrible. I mean, I've met Gal Gadot. She's very pretty. She also looks like she'd snap in half if I lean around. They talked about how Gal Gadot was too skinny. Gal Gadot is too skinny. Jennifer Lawrence is too fat. This chair is just right. Like, immediately people reacted to Gal Gadot being cast as Wonder Woman. She was not the best Wonder Woman in the world. Some other people had a voice of reason. It was like, hey, we haven't seen the new Wonder Woman actress in costume yet. Hold your horses, nerds. And we got a ton more reactions to just Gal Gadot being Wonder Woman here on Twitter, okay? Why so much hate? I don't know. Okay? But they did not like it. So it was like, they talked about Gal Gadot getting her own film. Some people saying, I think this move shows that they absolutely have no faith in female-led superhero movies in any way you slice it. I mean, you get Oscar nominees for Selena and Lewis, and we get someone with this resume as Wonder Woman. And I remember John Campea jumping on that horse as well. I mean, it was just pure hate towards Gal being Wonder Woman. There were other types of reactions, but for the most part, it was hate. And then they decided, okay, we're not going to keep just Batman v Superman, all right? Because they were talking about, oh, this is a versus film, that's not cool. And they decided to put Dawn of Justice behind it. And guess what everybody said? Oof, so Batman v Superman is totally fine. We've been calling it that for like 8 months already, but Dawn of Justice, yuck. Were they driven down Sunset and saw all the billboards for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, where the Dawn works? and got it stuck in their heads. I just like the title on a lot of levels. Dawn of Justice marks this as a prequel to the Justice League, which is irritating. Just make a movie. I also disliked the first Avengers subtitle they put in Captain America, for instance. But I also understood they were trying to sell an unknown quantity. But here, how is Batman v Superman not enough on its own? Like, that combo isn't good enough to sell tickets. So first they say it's a versus film. Two superheroes shouldn't be fighting one another. Second, now they start to say it's a bad title to put Dawn of Justice. I mean, Zack couldn't get a break. And then, here, why comic book nerds hate Batman v Superman? This was in 2015. The movie hadn't come out yet, and we got all this hate going towards this movie, right? And when Zack proved the haters wrong, he brought the best Batman ever, best live-action Batman, best Wonder Woman ever. They said Superman was an emo Superman in that movie, even though we all know Superman was going through a hard time. So I empathize with Superman. I understand it was a difficult world to be in, but he wasn't emo. He got discouraged for a minute, and then he went back to task. He was doing what he had to do, just like what Steve Trevor did in Wonder Woman. He had to do what he had to do. And he still stood for what he stood for. And it's just amazing, just because he wasn't this giggly, awkward, funky looking Clark Kent from the 1978 Spaz movie, okay, Superman 1978, doesn't mean that he was emo, which is weird to me, how they could call him emo. Nonetheless, hear these dumb people talk. This is the kind of hate going into Batman v Superman. And people forget all of this. This is all published before the movie. They had sad Ben Affleck long before Batman v Superman came out. Okay, so when they started with the sad Ben Affleck stuff again, it was because they're attacking Ben Affleck. And I thought about this over and over again. I'm thinking to myself, why was there so much hate towards this movie if it wasn't for the Marvel types? They realized that it was a versus film. Never seen before. So they started to pile up hate behind it, and the whole of Twitter went after it. You look at Donald Trump. He says some hateful things, the whole Twitter goes with it, because people tend to like confusion. They like hate, and they respond to it. And then they take it up faster than they would take up something positive. And through all of this, Zack Snyder, dude, was only trying to do positive vibes. Only positive vibes. He and Patty Jenkins. And that's why I give mad support to Zack Snyder. Because when I saw Batman v Superman, I got scared at certain points in the movie. It was kind of like a horror movie. I love the thriller. It was like a thriller. It was like a drama. Zack, I mean, I did not like Lex Luthor at all, and it was lovely. I enjoyed the fact that he was so evil, you know, and diabolical, and yet he had this sort of interface. I enjoyed everything about the movie. Now I look at it in retrospect. Some things rubbed me the wrong way too, but I realized this is what the story's telling you. You go with the story, and to the end, you know, Lex Luthor was this beast. You know, you realize this intellectual beast manipulating everything, though he's physically small and weak. I know this because I remember certain professors who were just scary, man. They were scary. You get on their wrong side, they were scary people, man. They weren't big and strong. And so, to me, Lex Luthor was like the modern day, as they say, Zuckerberg. He's quirky and weird, but he is a beast. Like, he's evil. Like, he'll get you, you know, every single time. And he's vindictive and everything. And so, and he worships evil too. So it was like, for me, this movie's a game changer in my life and in what I've seen in cinematic history. It challenged everything. I remember people coming out saying, I don't know what to think about this movie. You know why you didn't know what to think about this movie? Because this movie, you would never see nothing like this before. I remember some guys coming out of the cinema saying, I never seen nothing like this before. I went and watched that movie, Batman v Superman. I went and watched Man of Steel 6 times. I went and watched Batman v Superman 10 times in the cinema. 10 times! I couldn't get enough of the movie. I couldn't get enough of it. I remember people saying online on YouTube, it's a bad movie, but I just keep on going back and watching it. It's not a bad movie if you got to come back and watch it. It's just it's not conventional. And I'm talking about the theatrical cut. I'm not even talking about the ultimate cut, which is much more linear and much more easier to follow. I am still, a year after this movie came out, I am still finding stuff in Batman v Superman. That is how deep this freaking film by Zack Snyder is. Zack's a genius, man. Now, I don't worship him like he's a god, like some of these crazy fans, and everything he does is great and golden. No, I don't do that. But I will tell you this. dude really, I mean, he put his heart and soul into that movie. And it was really sad. I don't know if Autumn, she saw that, how they were treating her father or bashing him or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, say what you want about Zack Snyder. The dude is a hell of a person, man. When he can work along with people, still be so positive in spite of all the negative things said about him. And I just like the dude. I like him. I really like the dude. I like Patty Jenkins. I like her attitude as well. I don't like when people poke jabs at things like Zack Snyder. He did poke jabs at Marvel. He did. David Ayer, he said F Marvel, right? Patty Jenkins didn't say nothing about Marvel, right? And she was going to work for Marvel anyway. I saw Chris Pine, he made a jab at Marvel as well, you know, with Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars doesn't have to do with fighting forever. It has to do with the Infinity Stones, but it's all good. Let Marvel do their thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm a DC fan. I will watch a couple Marvel films. I don't really watch every single DC film. The films that got me hooked on DC, I don't even watch DC animated films. If you want to be specific, I'm bought into the DCEU like nobody's business. There is a demographic of us out there, and a big one, who bought into the DCEU. We're really bought into it, and it's because it brought to the table something totally different. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Man of Steel. So far, as I said before, the DCEU, whether people try to take credit from what I do. I know a lot of people watch my videos once again, and it's all good, right? But I'm gonna still say what I gotta say, because I think a lot of people are gonna realize I'm a very balanced person. I'm not here to be a fanboy and say everything that the DCEU does is great, but yet I'm a realist in the sense that I can see when something's really good, and then when everybody else is around me, the populace opinion of it is bad. Maybe it's because I'm a visionary. Maybe it's that I can see things and see how things are going. John Campion, Batman v Superman will never be a classic. It will never be on that level. But you said, John Campion, that Gal Gadot, she'd never be a good Wonder Woman. She could not carry a film. So how can I listen to you and some things you say make sense, but the other things you say are just, how could you know that? You gone and you got a crystal ball, you can see into the future? You know, these are the things I don't understand about these dudes. You just said you can't be an authority. You'd be a fanboy if you were to say that Batman v Superman is a classic. And I like Batman v Superman. Okay then, John Campion. Then how come you're not an authority when you just come out of the clear blue sky and say it will never be a classic? How do you know that? How do you know everybody won't like that movie down the road? And then he starts with the Star Wars prequels. Well, the Star Wars prequels, first of all, John Campion, for all your intelligence, didn't have deeper underlying truths like this film. It was an adventure film. Alright? Wonder Woman is emotionally a deep film, but it's nowhere near the story of Batman v Superman, if you're being really honest with yourself. That's a Zack Snyder film. Right? I looked at Sucker Punch, which was supposed to be crap, and I said, oh, okay, this is going to be crap. This is going to be some kick-up film. Zack Snyder threw away on the action scenes. The action scenes are throwaway. But if you pay attention really to what Zack Snyder's doing, he's telling a psychological story. Sucker Punch is deep, man. It's a deep film. Then he goes and he takes on Watchmen. I think Sucker Punch was after Watchmen, sorry. I have never watched The Owls of Ga'Hoole. I thought 300 was a pure bunch of shit. But other than that, you know, and Dawn of the Dead, I don't really think of them too much. Maybe he did put something in there. I don't know. I tried to watch 300 and I just couldn't watch the whole thing. But when it comes to Snyder's been he's been consistent in what he's been talking about. People say, oh, he's a nihilist. Look, man, I don't care if he's a nihilist or not. The point is, his movies make you think. If you sit down and reflect on a Zack Snyder film, you really get a lot out of it. And there's so much to get. So people say, oh, it's just a movie. I remember a guy said, no, it's not just a movie. No, it's not just a movie. Sometimes you go to get entertained, but sometimes, you know, even Zack Snyder, he disagreed with Zack Snyder. It was just a movie. Well, the truth be told, man, if it's just a movie, then they're just comic books. Why do people read them? What makes people drawn to entertainment and certain kinds of entertainment? Entertainment's there not just to entertain you. and you walk away like Captain America Civil War. You're entertained, it was a nice story, and you just walk away. No. Wonder Woman is not just there for you to be entertained and walk away. Patty Jenkins herself said it. She said she hopes you walk away with something. And that's what these films do. It's not just about entertainment and making something. It's not about eye candy. It's not just entertainment. I remember back in the 90s, man. An innocent man. You know what I'm saying? They had movies. RoboCop. These movies said something. They always said something. It wasn't just an insight into something that you couldn't use in your life. And people are like, oh, these movies are not supposed to be life-changing. They're just entertainment. No, they're supposed to be life-changing. But not in the way you think. It ain't going to revolutionize your life. It ain't going to save the whole wide world. But shit, you may come out of the movie and consider people a little bit differently. That's what I'm just saying. Wonder Woman was about love. It wasn't about war. How can you stop a war and people fighting one another and be a peacemaker if you don't think love is the key? To stop a war is real simple. You just got to get both sides to stop fighting each other. And that'll end the war. Why is it we feel that one side must beat the other into submission? Why can't both sides agree to disagree and go their separate ways? And to me, Wonder Woman deals with that, because really, when you think about this war in World War I, who really was the good guy and who really was the bad guy? Okay, you will say, oh, General Ludendorff was the bad guy. Well, but wait, General Ludendorff represents himself, though. He doesn't represent the Germans. The Germans were going for amnesty. So the Germans weren't trying to be bad guys. And they never really talked about what the war was all about. We know what it is historically, but they never talked about what the war was all about. And a lot of people were dying on both sides. And the generals of both sides were sitting back and letting the people in the trenches die. And they were like, oh, well, you know, that's the price of war now. And so many people died in that war. According to Chris Pine, millions. And innocent people too. So you got non-participating generals devising strategy and let's let a bloodbath happen. Shoot, how do we end a war? You end a war by going and coming together like an amnesty and agreeing to stop fighting. And trying to work out the situation another way without force. And Wonder Woman thought that Ares was the cause of the whole thing. But she realizes now Ares is not the cause. Human beings are the cause of this war. Ares gave a suggestion. He helped the process along, but he wasn't the one. My point anyway is this. Steve Trevor represents you, me, and every person. And Steve Trevor, he didn't seek to end the war through force. He sought to end the war by trying to save people's lives. Yeah, he knew that Ludendorff was the dude, but he was really trying to stop Ludendorff from using the weapons. He wasn't interested in killing Ludendorff. Wonder Woman was interested in killing Ludendorff. When she killed him, it didn't change nothing, right? If you think about it, these are things that can be inculcated into little children's lives. That's why little children need to go see this movie. It's brutal. But then again, if you look in the news, you're hearing people getting blown up and things happening. This world is getting more violent and more brutal. So you might as well let them go and see it in the cinema and talk with them after. But they need to see these values embedded in them. That war does not make you a hero. You don't have to be fighting against somebody to be a hero. A hero can be a fireman. A fireman who saves someone from a fire. He's not fighting the fire. In that case, he's going to save someone's life. The other fireman may be trying to deal with the fire, but a fireman can go into a fire and save someone's life without fighting the fire. Because see, heroes have less to do with who they're fighting against and more to do with who they're inspiring. And an ordinary person can be a hero. Steve Trevor, ordinary guy, no superpowers. Ordinary guy. His friends, ordinary people. In fact, some of his friends were criminals. They were doing criminal things. So, my point is this. Zack Snyder, man. Zack Snyder is an inspiration to a lot of people, including the people he works with. You know his fingerprints were all over Wonder Woman. Why you guys keep on hating the dude? It's one thing if you say, okay, Zack Snyder does a style that I don't really appreciate. I don't like all the slow-mo in his action flicks. I don't exactly like how he puts together his stories because it's so untraditional. I gotta think to figure my way through. I just want to be guided through. I just want to relax and watch a movie and let the movie tell me everything. Okay, if you want to say that, that's cool. But don't bash the dude, oh, Snyderverse, Murderverse. And you know that ain't true. You know you lying. You know Superman killed no one. And with Superman versus General Zod, come on, man, folks. You know, I had to talk about this online. Now I hear all these hypocrites online who was criticizing Snyder. All of a sudden, like I said, they're hypocrites. Now my opinion was always that, he was fighting General Zod. No, your opinion wasn't that. You want me to pull up the file and the video where you said it? I was listening to another person today talking. Hypocrites. This person says, I'm going to say it. I was on this chat feed with some people discussing the movie. And this hypocrite going to say this. She says, well, Wonder Woman's supposed to be kind of like Superman. She's not supposed to be hurt by bullets and stuff. So why is she using a shield and stuff? She's a god in this movie. Gods don't be affected by bullets and shields. That make no sense. So I said, well, in the lore, she uses her bracelets and shields and stuff to protect bullets because she can be hurt by sharp objects. And she said that the movie didn't show that. So I went on to say, well, look, young Diana, she said no sharp objects. She said, I'll be careful, no sharp objects to her mother. So she answered and said, well, that could mean many different things. I said, well, she got hurt in the movie. Antiope blocked her in the movie. All right. Antiope blocked her in the movie so she wouldn't get shot and killed. The other time she got hurt in the movie was when she was shot. They shot a bullet down her feet, her shin guard, and she stopped and her shield fell off in the warehouse scene. And I said, besides that, she also got cut in the fight on the beach. She was cut. She got hurt. So yeah, bullets can hurt you. And she was like, she healed back fast. I said, but she got hurt. You said she's a god and bullets shouldn't hurt her. And the Amazons are immortal. But I was trying to explain to this person, look, you got to understand something. Just because someone is not human doesn't mean they're not mortal. The gods, for crying out loud, were killed, according to Hippolyta, by Zeus. Not by Zeus, right? By Ares. So that means they're mortal? No. It means they're immortal, but they can be killed. Mortal doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be killed. Alright? You could have an immortal being who live. You would live forever if somebody don't come up and kill you. That's all it means. So if you're immortal, that means that you can live on and on and on. Look at when we talk about Highlander. I don't know if anybody knows the Highlander series. The Highlanders, they're immortal. They live forever unless somebody cut off their head. They're not mortals, but they can be killed. So it was like, it is what it is, though. I listen to some people, and this person, they trying to make themselves sound, so they be like a hypocrite. They turn around and say, no, I wasn't saying that she doesn't get hurt by bullets. I never said that. When I told her, well, you said that. You said that when, she can't get hurt by bullets, and that's why she used the bracelets and stuff. She can't get killed, but she can get killed. Wonder Woman can get killed, okay? That doesn't mean she's not a god. That doesn't mean she's not immortal. It's just that different gods have different powers, right? It's like I said, she flew in the movie, and they were like, well, I don't know if she flew in the movie. Of course she flew in the movie. Even Gal Gadot goes on to say, well, this woman in an interview, she said when they're talking about mean tweets and stuff, people trolling. She said, well, she can fly, and she got real strength and real power. Of course Wonder Woman can fly. In the end of the movie, you saw her fly off the balcony. She didn't just jump off the balcony. She flew off the balcony. How we know that? Because if she didn't fly, she going to land inside of that river over the city, right? You can look at the city and you see her. Yeah, she could jump far. Yeah, we saw her jump. But we also saw her levitate and go up into the air. And she slammed down General Ludendorff. And she hovered above the ground a couple times. She hovered above the ground against Zeus. She just went up in the air with Zeus. You know what I'm saying? Of course she can fly. We know Wonder Woman can fly. That's how Wonder Woman got. That's how she got from the plane to Doomsday scene with Batman. Because she flew. But she doesn't fly like Superman flies. But of course she can fly. That's why I was looking at the movie and I was like, wait a minute. How does she know how to fly? That was the question I wanted to know. How she just suddenly started to fly? You know, but I get it now. Right? I get why she suddenly started to fly. She's picking up all these different powers as she moved to different levels. And she, you know, like when she got really mad, she just kind of just blew up things. And she just, I mean, she went through some soldiers like, she just jacked through the soldiers like it was nothing. Just cut through all of them. Wow! Like a flame, too. She had super speed and all that shit. So anyway, my point is, people are hypocrites. They have no problem. They have no conscience. They will say one thing, and then they will just flip the script, and they will say something else. You know, because they realize they're going to be wrong. Instead of admitting, you know what, man, I was wrong. They will never do that. They're hypocrites. Right? They're going to say, I was a Zack Snyder fan, you lying piece of snake. You know you wasn't no Zack Snyder fan. You was trying to close down the DCU before it started. You was hating on Zack Snyder since Man of Steel. You know, I know. Zack Snyder wouldn't say anything about them. He would understand the nature of human beings and stuff, and he'd be cool about it. So I'll answer for Zack Snyder in that respect, because he's too nice a guy. Patty Jenkins, she's just too nice a person. You know, if they was to try and disrespect Patty Jenkins, you know what I'm saying? Gal Gadot, she's too nice a person. She would never respond to that. So I'd respond to it. They're hypocrites. Alright? You got a cutthroat film industry where there are hypocrites out there. They would work to see if they can get views. They would work to see if they can clickbait. And they know negativity running, they can run with the script. They don't have no moral compass. They don't care about what good you're trying to do. We have a very sarcastic, sadistic kind of society where we are all about crucifying people. We love to talk negative things about them. Right? Except for Marvel, of course. Have you heard anything negative about Marvel? I could destroy Marvel with just 2 words. 2 words. 2 words and I can destroy Marvel. They're 2 words. And I'm itching to say them, but I'm not going to say them. I'm going to destroy Marvel. Easy. I showed a guy already that their chief dude in Marvel, their chief dude, you know who they are? The guy with the Infinity Stones, right? You know? Yeah, him. I could call his name, but I won't call his name. Right? That dude, I told him what that dude looked like. I won't say it on here. I won't say it on here because I don't want to spread that kind of negative energy and make people feel I'm against Marvel. I'm not against Marvel anymore. I didn't like the dirtiness they did last year. Dirty politics that they did last year. That's why I boycotted most of their films. But I came back and I went and watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I checked it out. It's cool. May even check out Spider-Man Homecoming. But this much I'll say. If y'all feel, if I start to unleash, if I start to behave like how y'all was behaving to DCEU, if I start to unleash, I'll destroy y'all. You know, but I don't do that. Because it's not necessary. This is about movies, man. Right? This is about movies. I enjoyed Civil War. I saw flaws like crazy in Civil War. I could tell you all the flaws in Civil War. Y'all want to go on Batman v Superman. And there's a reason why its rewatchability is not as high as Batman v Superman. There's a reason, man. But I wouldn't compare Civil War to Batman v Superman. I wouldn't do that. I'm not that kind of person. And I guess some of the people in the DCU were really decent people, not rabid fanboys. Because there are some DCEU fanboys who just, like they on a crusade of hate for Marvel. Suddenly they get bitter or whatever. And they just overcompensate. They start to say, oh, this DC movie is the greatest. It's a masterpiece. And I'm like, come on, man. God, dude. Come on. I don't need to do all of that. You know, and they contradict themselves all the time. You ever seen me talk about the Rotten Tomato scores? No. I haven't. You know why? Because I don't give a damn about them. Not like that. I'm not going to make no video. I'm not going to waste my time making a video on that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because I don't think that there are not some good critics out there. There are some people who have been very consistent. Alright? Mark Hughes. Shout out to Mark Hughes. Superheroes.com. I like Mark Hughes. I like the 3 people that were on that cast. I don't care if you didn't like Batman v Superman. At least give some constructive criticism. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I'm down when you people say things which are constructive and respectful. I am not down with the people who are reckless with their words and they bend the truth to suit themselves. And they're all about clickbait. I'm not down with those people. But if you're a reasonable person, you say, well, I didn't like Batman v Superman. It wasn't that, I didn't like Snyder style. Okay, I'm down with it. I'm cool with you. I'm not gonna quarrel with you. You know, it's your taste. But when you come as fact and saying Zack Snyder, he's a horrible filmmaker and this was the worst movie ever, for you, that's your opinion. And you circulate that all through media. It's the worst movie ever. And look at the critical score. And you will not watch at the audience score. The people who actually count. The audience. And yeah, you got Marvel tard haters who are trying to, you know, how we put it, they constantly making negative reviews and they go in under different usernames and doing this. I think IMDb does the same thing too. You got haters who just hate on a movie and they decide before the movie even come out, they start saying that either it's good or bad. I mean, it's good if they saw screenings or something. That's different. But I mean, come on now, guys. Why all that? You know, I encourage people at a certain time with Rotten Tomatoes to go. If you enjoyed this movie, Batman v Superman, then go and make your presence known on Rotten Tomatoes and make your presence known online. Give yourself a voice. I mean, but you know how it goes out here. You know how it goes out here. You got haters out here. And they got to keep a narrative going so that Marvel can do well. I'm serious. This is not a joke. I showed you facts. I brought up critics and I showed you. I put them on blast. I put these critics on blast. These critics comparing this movie to Marvel. And not only that, they have no concrete anything. No concrete evidence that separates this movie from a Marvel film, for instance. You know, and then people talk about jokes. Wonder Woman wasn't a jokey movie where you're laughing every 5 seconds like Guardians of the Galaxy. Not to say that I hate Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for that. No, I like the jokes. That's why I went into the movie, to see the jokes. I knew this movie was going to be funny, it was going to be wacky, it was going to be over the top. I went in understanding what kind of movie I was going to see. But apparently, these stupid critics don't know that there are different kinds of movies. And even in the comic book genre, everything don't gotta be hee hee ha ha. Everything don't gotta be a laugh. Okay? It's just what it is. Alright? And there are some people in this world who would prefer if they didn't have comic book movies that had laughs in them. That they were more grounded, more realistic. That we could take them seriously. As for those people who say, oh, The Dark Knight was the first realistic, serious movie, then you probably don't know anything about Batman 1989. You should shut your mouth. Batman 1989 was so graphic and so dark because there was a lot of killing in that movie. And in Batman Returns. In fact, it was so much killing in Batman Returns that they said this movie, you can't have little kids go watch this movie. Okay? If you're going to watch Wonder Woman, again, it's dark. It's dark. Okay? There's some bad things that happen in that movie. Okay? People get killed in that movie. Alright? They're talking about, oh, Superman died. But you know, it's comic book movies. They always come back to life. Well, Superman's dad didn't come back to life. General Zod, yeah, he sort of came back to life in Doomsday. But Doomsday ain't coming back to life. Alright, the lady who got killed on trial, she ain't coming back to life in Batman v Superman. The senator and all those people inside that building who died in the blast, they ain't coming back to life. See, y'all not really being real. You try to compare DC movies to Marvel movies. They're not the same. The last set of DCEU movies, people died in those movies. Okay? A lot of people died in those movies. You guys complained about that at the end of Man of Steel. Oh, look how much death and how much people died in those movies. Yeah? It's life. If a real alien from outer space was to come down and decide to wreak havoc on the earth, guess what? People will die. It's what happens. But you guys like to avoid that with Avengers and all those little cookie cutter movies. Don't even get me started about Marvel, because I could really go to town on you guys talking about Marvel. It's better. Don't even start. I could destroy you real quick. Okay? But I don't do those things, because that's not what I'm about. I'm not about DC versus Marvel. And I'm cool with what Marvel's doing. And they are being challenged to do better and better things, and I wish them well. I don't want them to not succeed. There was a time when I was like, man, drain them out. Let them reap what they sow. There was a point in time where I was like, all right, you're going to reap what you sow. You know what? I don't care about that. I'm focused on what I like. I like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I like that movie, and it's doing well at the box office. I like Wonder Woman. I liked Batman v Superman. I didn't like Suicide Squad as much as Batman v Superman, nor Man of Steel, but I like Suicide Squad. I like the characters in the movie. Story wasn't that great, but it had nice twists and turns in it. I like that too. And I understand these were villains. See, every time I talked about a movie, you guys realized I was a reasonable dude. I didn't go like if I was just a super fan and I gave up my brain and I wouldn't see everything's perfect in a movie. I didn't say that. But I understood the purpose for everything in a movie. And people need to keep their styles. I don't want Warner Brothers trying to change up Zack Snyder's style. Zack Snyder is Zack Snyder. Justice League should be Justice League. How Zack Snyder wanted. And Joss Whedon does the finishing touches on it. How they wanted it, that's it. Don't compromise yourself. Because people respect you when you're consistent with what you put out. If you're trying to evolve and change things and trying to be like something you're not, it's going to come across in your movie. Patty Jenkins is Patty Jenkins. David Ayer is David Ayer. Zack Snyder's Zack Snyder. Okay? David Goyer is David Goyer. I see all the hate for David Goyer. You know how much movies David Goyer's done? Comic book movies and all kinds of movies. But all of a sudden, David Goyer is bad. But ain't that the same David Goyer that was working on The Dark Knight with Christopher Nolan? Wasn't that David Goyer too? So what's up? What's up? I mean, the hate for people doing something, but all of a sudden, now that there's going to be a universe, see, this is what the problem was. Because there was going to be a DCE universe, all of a sudden it was a problem, folks. All of a sudden it was a problem. Zack Snyder all of a sudden became public enemy number one. Because he was creating a universe alongside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What's the problem with that? Now, because Zack Snyder and the DCEU is being successful and they're moving forward, these haters had to change their rhetoric. They're hypocrites. Now they're talking about Wonder Woman saving the DCEU. If they can, they would destroy Justice League to destroy the universe. But Wonder Woman is one good thing that come out of DCEU. No. A hell of a lot more. But see, you can't see it. Now, I hear people hailing Man of Steel. It's a good movie. It's a better movie than it. Yeah? Why is it 55% on Rotten Tomatoes? It deserves that, right? Oh, y'all gonna say next, oh, well, you know, Zack Snyder's vision of Batman v Superman, the ultimate cut was good. The next thing you're gonna hear, the theatrical cut was good. It was really advanced. It was ahead of its time with comic book movies. You're gonna hear that later. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. All the John Campias. John Campia has to eat his words now for Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman. And he's gonna say, oh, she's not an Academy Award winner. And her acting's still limited, and she has extremes in acting, but you know, in the middle, and I'm still not impressed by her. Yeah, you gonna say that for now. It don't mean shit anymore because she already carried out her own movie and she ran it. Patty Jenkins made her the focus, so she had to carry the whole damn movie, and she carried it. Now I don't know what John Campea is going to say, because she carried the whole damn movie. You can say whatever you want as an actor. She carried the whole damn movie. That's the person you said couldn't carry her own movie. You got to eat your own words now. And you know what? We got to call out these hypocrites for what they do. You're a hypocrite, John Campea. Hypocrite. You and Mark Ellis and the guys from Collider Video, you're hypocrites. Hypocrites. Talking about you want the best for the DCEU. You don't want the best for the DCEU. You're just one of those smooth talking political people. You're not honest. You people come around, oh, we're gonna show. It's nothing wrong with showing faults in the movie and shortcomings. And don't get me wrong, I'm calling out John Campea. That doesn't mean I hate John Campea. Y'all need to separate somebody calling out the truth and telling people what they did was hypocritical. And if John Campea is a man, he will say, you know what, I was wrong about Gal Gadot. She's not an Academy Award winning actress, but I was wrong. Just as I was wrong about Channing Tatum. Be a man about it and move on. Nobody gonna be mad at you. You know, you was angry at Grace, what's her name? Behind the Trailer Lady. And you was throwing slang at her. You was giving her heat for stuff. Well, that wasn't called for. And Grace should have known better, man. John Campea is not a hater of the DCEU. She's not like that. But still, y'all need to grow up, man. Acknowledge where you went wrong. Nobody's gonna be mad at you. You only getting points for that. You can get points for that. I was wrong about Gal Gadot. She can act a bit. She showed a little something. She's not the greatest actor in the world, and I didn't expect her to be, because she's still early in the acting game. But she held her own, and she carried her own movie. I wanted Jamie Alexander, but you know what? Damn, I've seen some people online say that. They acknowledged that they wanted Jamie Alexander. They didn't think Gal Gadot could do it. And they had to acknowledge, they said, you know, I was wrong about her. That's cool. Saying that is good. Look, when Ben Affleck became Batman, I was like, I was going with everybody else. I didn't say nothing online, but I was like, I was looking at different things. My first reaction was, what? Ben Affleck is Batman? Shit, let me check that out now. How the hell Ben Affleck could be Batman? I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of all the movies Ben Affleck been in. You know, Argo. It was kind of comical, and he wasn't no serious dude. I'm thinking, are they going to do a different take on Batman? I was even asking myself these questions, right? I couldn't understand it. But Zack's and his crew, they saw what Ben was bringing to the table. And they knew where Ben was at. And they knew this was the dude. You don't question what a director be doing until you see the product. Then you know. I remember people talking about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. By the way, I didn't put that one in. And they were like, oh my God, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? Okay, I like Jesse Eisenberg. Whereas other people were like, oh my gosh, there's Jesse Eisenberg here. When he hit Superman on his chest and he said, oh, you a guy. He looks at Batman, Bruce Wayne, and he's like, this is a guy you shouldn't, something he says, I can't remember, but the words to the effect of, you shouldn't mess with this dude. Because he's kind of strong. I liked it. I really did. But I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw Jesse Eisenberg performing, I was like, I think we were like close to halfway through the movie. I was like, what the hell kind of crap is this? I was like, what the heck is going on in this movie? You know, because I just did not like Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor. I didn't like it. It grate on me the wrong way. I was like, what the heck? He can't even talk properly. What the? Until that scene in the room where, you know, he was talking, the lady said, you know, we revoking that license for you to bring in the kryptonite, and Sick just stopped. He was still very logical in what he was saying, but he started talking about, you know, he started cracking on the thing, you know, one by one, the horses coming, two by two. I was like, what the heck is he? And then he kind of turns away from her. I thought he was going to kill her or something. He didn't kill her. He didn't touch, Lex never touched nobody really, except at the end of the movie when he pushed Lois Lane off the edge. But he just kind of steps away, and then he says something in a really strange voice. He says, you know, devils don't come from earth beneath us. No. They come from the sky. I was like, what the hell? For a minute, he just changed. His whole tone, his demeanor changed. He was like trying to force it together. You could see his lip was quivering and stuff, you know? When she said she revoked the license. And then kind of walked up to her, smiling and stuff, still trying to keep that demonic side of him off. I mean, look, man, say what you want. Jesse Eisenberg did a hell of a performance. And the second time I watched it, I really appreciated his performance more and more. And the third time, I was like, damn, this dude's a genius. You know, because the portrayal that he's feeble, he's weak, he's kind of fickle. He's smart, but he's kind of fickle. It seems like, you know, he's just this eccentric dude, only to realize this guy's a cold-hearted, calculated son of a... I hate Jesse Eisenberg. You know, I hated Amanda Waller too. I hated, but I was scared of her, of course. I got scared of Jesse Eisenberg after that bomb blast. I was scared of him. I looked at him differently. And this movie made you realize how evil the dude was. And as crazy as he was, even when he was talking to Superman, I know these people. I've seen these people before. That's the thing that scares me, man. I've seen these people before. I'm like, damn, Jesse Eisenberg, how do you get that mean streak in you? Damn. You know? He looked like he was just this nice guy, but he ain't no nice guy. He's a wicked son of a gun, man. And he's not really afraid of Batman either. Batman couldn't intimidate him. So it was like, wow. You know, wow. So I'm telling you, man, I don't know about other people. Some people love the performance of Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah, he was a little bit comical, but it wasn't the comedy in the dude. It was the eccentricity. And that eccentricity he needed to have to cover over that really seething, boiling evil in him. He's an evil dude. Jesse Eisenberg's not a nice guy. Evil dude. But at the same time, he's really great as a chess player. So people say he was like the Joker. I'm like, I can't see that. I really can't see how he's like the Joker. So other people are like he's like the Riddler. No, the Riddler is not. The Riddler is not that, man. Yeah, can't you guys see the Riddler is not that? That is someone trying to control themselves, and they realize they can't really. If they go flaming mad, you know, crazy, evil, people are going to call him out. And he can't. You have to run under the ground. So I got to look kind of eccentric, you know, and joke around a little bit. But really, I'm a flaming, raging, evil person. But you know, I'm skinny and I'm weak and frail. Just imagine him in that suit. Oh my gosh, man, Lex Luthor. He really didn't like Superman, man. Everybody else he was cool with. Superman, no. I mean, you say Superman, he started a snare one time. He was like, Superman, yeah. Yep, and that's like one of those things that move around. Yeah, God's about men. And he goes into this rant. Jeez, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I never seen a villain like him. You know. I've seen villains like, weak villains before. Don't get me wrong. Dr. Glass was one of them, you know, from Unbreakable. But not like this. Dr. Glass, he still had an agenda. He was angry about something. You know, even what's his name? That villain in Captain America Civil War? I forgot what his name was. He had agenda because he wanted revenge. Lex Luthor doesn't want revenge. Lex Luthor is he's just wicked. You know what I'm saying? He been reared like a wicked person. It seems as though his father reared him wicked. And then on top of that, it seems as though, because he's an orphan, he must have killed his dad or something. But he don't like his dad much, but he admires his dad at the same time. And Superman reminds him that there's no, you know, like this godlike figure that should have intervened. Superman reminds him of that. And so he just totally does not like Superman. He also doesn't like that he's not the most powerful guy out there, you know. And he feels he literally feels he's doing the human race a favor by killing Superman, or at least exposing him. So he's doing one of the two things. So his motivation is a whole different kind of motivation to any villain I've ever seen. The dude is scary. When I think of Lex Luthor and the fact that he's going to be in the upcoming Justice League movie, I'm wondering what kind of evil he got up his sleeve. Because he gonna have something up his sleeve. He's not just going to go into a jail or asylum and get away with it. Hell no. No, hell no. No, Lex Luthor's got something up his sleeve. And that's what I'm interested in this Justice League movie. I know Lex Luthor's gonna be, his presence gonna be in this movie somehow, some way. So, you know, he gonna play some card games, man. He gonna play some chess. You know. So I'm interested in that too. And he gets a lot of his hands on a lot of information. But anyway, enough of Lex Luthor. I talked about it at length in Batman v Superman. You guys gotta understand Zack Snyder, man. Zack Snyder, you know, awesome dude, man. He's an awesome dude. Really awesome person. I heard a lot of people who work with Zack Snyder really like him. As a person, he's got a lot of energy. Patty Jenkins, same kind of peoples. But I'm glad she got the praise where she deserves it. She deserves this praise. Right? And apparently Zack is cool with that. He's like, yeah, man, one for the team. Yeah, ping. Zack's happy. Because he probably like, oh man, can't do the Justice League right now, guys. I'm sorry about that. You know, I hope he recovers though. I hope he understands that people really care about the movies he makes, and they really value him, and they really understand his gifting and the messages that he has been saying in his movies. I really, really appreciate Zack Snyder. You know, Patty Jenkins, I appreciate her too, but she didn't have to go through what Zack's going through. This crucifixion, man, it's just not right, man. It's just not right what people be doing to Zack Snyder. He ain't a god to me, but he's a damn good fella, man, and he also is a really good filmmaker, man. He's a very good filmmaker. He doesn't get, you know, people don't always get what he's saying because he puts a lot of thought into stuff. His movies are layered, so you know, if you a fucking, you know, shallow-headed piece of shit, you're not gonna get nothing. You know what I'm saying? And no disrespect when I say shallow. I'm talking about some of them critics who didn't even understand what the damn movie was saying before they opened their stupid mouth and said something. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Those people. Anyway, I said enough, and I'm sweating like a pig. You guys have a great one.